Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it is tier list time. It is time to rate every single legendary minion that will be releasing with the Great Dark Beyond on November 5th, rating them S through F, S being God tier, auto-include, like what were they thinking? And F being just unplayable trash. What were they also thinking on that one? And there's a template down below if you want to fill it out. And if you want to win these cards, we have our giveaway still going on for 2 regular pre-orders, 3 mega bundles out of my pocket. To enter that giveaway, like and comment in the video link down description below, the one with that thumbnail over there. Be subscribed to the channel. Every 1,000 subs we get until Monday, I will add another mega bundle. So hit that sub button, make me go Baroque. And first we have the Death Knight legendary we revealed on our YouTube channel, Exarch Maladar, which actually never got a chance to rate. We didn't review any of the cards I revealed, and it is a 6 mana 5/5 Draenei, 1 unholy rune, battle cry. The next card you play this turn costs corpses instead of mana. This card seems nuts to me. I saw this, I'm like, oh no, another mass mana cheat card, and I gotta reveal it, be positive. But yeah, if you have like, say 10 corpses saved up, pretty much everything is playable. Outside of your Reska or like 100 mana card, which we'll talk about later, yeah, you could get the Primus out for 6 mana, or coin this on 5 and get the Primus up. You could play Necrotic Climactic Explosion, and this will buff it before you play it. It's just a big stat bomb, and we know those cards see play. As long as you can consistently have around like 8 to 10 corpses by the time this card comes around, which is very possible with all the token cards, especially in Unholy, especially Rainbow. It's just another one of those big scam cards that looks really scary. And yeah, you can play any deck that has an Unholy Rune. It seems really, really good to me. I would have given this a 5. I would have given this a 5 if I did a review, and I'm gonna give it an S. We're starting off strong here, but yes, mana cheat, really darn good. On the other hand, we have the 8 Hands from Beyond, a new Death Knight legendary minion as well, an 8 mana 8/8 beast. You have to play double blood for this, so already pretty narrow, and it's battle cry. Destroy both players' decks except the 8 highest cost cards at each, which is just a really weird effect. It's obviously double-sided, so you're destroying all the cheap stuff, which in World can be good if like Jade Idols and Ignites or things like that, or you destroy Plagues in your deck, which can be nice, right? But overall, like, why? What are you building around on this, right? And also, if someone's playing to kill Jaden, it doesn't do anything to their deck of demons. It's useless. It just seems like 8 mana do nothing most of the time, or you lose or help your opponent get to their Phenom faster, I guess, perhaps too, right? There's that possibility, but seems unplayable, seems really bad, but you can discover it, things like that. But overall, I'm gonna go with an F, from S through F. I don't see any deck ever playing this unless there's some new strategy that emerges that just isn't there for Death Knight at the moment. Demon Hunter gets Deirdre, the Rebel Captain, a 4 mana 5/4 with Rush, Battle Cry. You shuffle all 8 crewmates into your deck, then you draw one. A crewmate is a 4 mana 4/4. There's 8 different ones because there's 8 different bonus effects, and the idea with those cards, there's a bunch chained in your hand, you play one, you cheat them all out. The more I've thought about this card, the less I'm impressed. You're filling your deck with a lot of kind of bad draws, right? Just 4 mana 4/4s, and unless you could cheat like 2 to 3 out consistently, that's not amazing, and it does seem kind of slow. I'm not entirely sold on this mechanic the more I've thought about it, although I did give it a 3 rating. I think originally I'm gonna downgrade this to a C. I don't think this emerges as a big threat, but it's got a chance if it just works out right. I just feel like it's gonna require a lot of work to pay off. We have Zortoth, the Breaker of Stars, a 6 mana 5/5 demon for Demon Hunter. Battle Cry, you add 2 stars to both sides of your hand. When they collide, deal 5 damage to all enemies. So you play this on an empty hand, you just deal 5 to everything. It's not 10 or 15, it's 5 total. And that's pretty good. If you have just a very small amount of cards, play a couple, 10 AoE, really good. But this card needs to go off very quickly, if not right away. And the aggro decks of the world, the Pirate Demon Hunters right now, don't have a ton of card draw. And I feel like this is a good top end card for extra reach, just to nuke the board, put damage face. Seems good. It seems solid, but only really in those decks that run low cards. I just think Pirate Demon Hunter is that right now. And why not throw in a free 5 damage that clears the board and can go face? So I'll give it a B. I think this can pop up in those aggressive decks, but pretty much that. And if you have like more than, I guess you have like 9 cards in hand, you have to have room for the stars in that too if you're playing a slower deck. But then again, you're probably not going to want to play that card if you're doing that. We have Exarch Othar, 4 mana 3/3 Druid Draenei, Battle Cry. If you're building a starship, get 3 different arcane spells and reduce their cost by 2. So you get a bunch of mana cheat, you get a bunch of value, but you have to be playing a starship deck. It'll be completely contingent on how good the Druid starship is, because that's what you're playing this in. And if the starship deck is good, this card's great. If it's not, it's absolutely useless. I feel like they're going to make sure starships work, whether it's immediately or later. We'll give it a B for now, but that can be a pretty busted effect considering how much mana cheat you're getting, plus the synergies of like double arcane spells. Double arcane spells can be with some starship pieces going on. You could really do some gross stuff. We have Ulu the Everdrifter, a 5 mana 6/5 beast. Each turn this is in your hand, you gain 2 random choose 1 choices. So every turn you just get random choose 1 choices and you get to pick one on a 5 mana 6/5. They're unreliable. You're likely going to be spending a lot more mana on a choose 1 effect that you don't necessarily want. And it's just a weird one, unless there's a bunch of choose 1 spells or minions that have like 8 or higher, higher mana effects that you would like to consistently abuse with this. Maybe you would see play, but overall, I'm giving it an F. I think this card's quite bad. I don't know what it would really see play in. I feel like it's just the pirate location card all over again of, I don't really want to ever put this in my deck. It's just not consistent enough. We have Exarch Nael, 3 mana 3/4 Hunter Legendary with Battle Cry. Replace your hero power with tracking. Discover a card from your deck. So it's a 1 mana hero power that lets you draw a card every turn. 1 mana, draw, better life tap, unless you're looking for self-damaging effects, of course. And this isn't Hunter. Class it historically doesn't have a ton of card draw. This probably doesn't go into the aggressive decks because aggressive decks you typically want Steady Shot, but then again, Steady Shot's really hard to finish the game with. You really just need burn, token presence, board presence. I initially think I gave it a 4. I'm bumping it up to an S. I could see every Hunter deck possibly playing this card, getting that hero power, getting that card draw, plus there's discover bonuses going on with the class where tracking discovers a card from your deck. There's other cards right now in the set that will benefit from it. I think it's something you're going to want to play in almost any Hunter deck, because why not? And it's premium stats to boot. We also got Gorm the World Eater, a 3 mana 12/12 beast. My goodness, dormant for 5 turns. At the end of your turn, you destroy the minion to the right of this to awaken 1 turn sooner. I thought this card was terrible at release, or when it was revealed and all that. And the more I've thought about it, I still think it's bad. I still doubt you play it. It's really a card you really need to play on curve. Have a minion out there and then the like eggs to feed it, and then you just get a 12/12. But again, if your opponent can answer it, they're freaking dead, or they gain 12 armor or 24 armor if they're Plague Mage possibly. I'm gonna bump it up to a C. I don't think it sees meta play, but I see the validity kind of destroying eggs and death rattles particular. There's a lot of that stuff going on in Hunter right now, and they're getting one of the best eggs we've ever seen this expansion. So it might surprise me, although Regis gave it a 4, so I'm wondering what he's got cooking on that one. Mage gets Exarch Hataru, a 5 mana 5/5 Draenei. Battle Cry, discover a spell and reduce its cost by 1. If you play it this turn, repeat this effect. Very similar to Instructor Fireheart. However, Fireheart, you couldn't discover a spell that costs, I believe, 1 or less, because you couldn't go free with it, right? Or infinite. I think it was 1 or more. I can't remember. Regardless, this card, if you get 1 mana spells, it's free. And there's a good amount of them. And there's ways to cheat out this Draenei for basically free. Have a big pop-off turn. You got Velen, which can recast this Battle Cry as well. It just, to me, even without cheating this out, I know it's 5 mana. That does seem a bit, but when you have 3 discover options, there's likely to be a very cheap one that you can keep repeating, getting value, clearing the board, pushing damage, drawing cards. I'm giving this an S. I think this goes into pretty much any mage deck. Unless that 5 is just too much, I really feel like it could be that crazy of a card where you play it in a big spell mage, you play it in a Draenei mage, you play it, I don't know, a Sif mage. I think all those have a chance. At the very end of the day, you're getting at least 1 spell. Like, even that, I know it's not amazing, but it's not the worst thing in the world, which then you can like cheat out later on in the game. Like, I just think it's such a strong card. I'm really sold on it. And then we have Solrune, the 6 mana 7/6 mage elemental. Battle Cry, give all elementals in your deck fire spell damage +1. This is very expensive, and that's the biggest drawback to this card. You can hit like that Surger card, get a full board of fire spell damage, and there's a bunch of fire spells in the set in particular, or just overall, be really good to hit, but you got to play a 6 mana 7/6 with the right minions in your deck, then draw. It's a really cool card. It looks beautiful. It's got an amazing diamond, but I'm not sold on this being a meta player. I think it's not going to be fast or consistent enough, so I'll give it a C. But yeah, this is one I could see them buffing to like 5 mana at some point, and then maybe we're off to the races, or I'm wrong, and it's just really good. We have the Urel, Beacon of Hope, the new Paladin legendary, bringing Librams back, right? It's a 5 mana 4/3 with Rush, Draenei, Death Rattle. Get 3 different Librams from an older timeline. Those are guaranteed to be Wisdom, Hope, and Justice. The weapon, excluded from the equation, ton of value. You can repeat this Death Rattle, whether it be replaying with Conman or Velen, and I'm convinced Librams will be good. I don't know how good, but I think they'll be good. And again, this card is exclusively a Libram deck enabler, but we're gonna give it an A. I am sold on that stuff because it looks pretty darn good. We have Lumia, the 6 mana 9/9 Paladin legendary, which has lifesteal. After a hero takes damage, they become immune for the rest of the turn. Still can't believe this is a real card. It seems broken to me. Like, the person playing it is such an advantage, right? You can attack a bunch in on turn 5, let's say, or on turn 6 and then play it, and you know, you don't have to worry about the immunity. But also, if your opponent wants to hurt you, they gotta remove this first. With sometimes hard removal, we'll take care of it like that, right? Sometimes that'll happen, but again, especially like aggro decks, they don't run that for the most part. And then they gotta hit into this 9/9 with lifesteal. It's gonna be like a Reno, right? It seems really strong, replayable with Conman. Again, can we revert that card? Seems incredibly good, but mostly just in like a Libram, Pipsy, maybe actually the ton of, I'm gonna give it an S. I really do think it's that insane. I feel like it's busted, and I'm very curious to how it play out, because it could, I feel like it's one way or the other. It's gonna be like really good, or actually just trash somehow. So we'll see, but I'm gonna go on the betting side that it's gonna be really good. We have Cure the Light Beyond. By the way, it's not the way to say it at all, but I don't remember how you're supposed to say it. Regardless, that's how I'm saying it. 3 mana 3/3 legendary spell burst. You summon a random 3-cost minion. Holy spells don't remove the spell burst. So yeah, again, I remember like Mount Seller being insane. It was like just any spell, but way back in the day, that was a good druid card, I guess. Not insane, a druid card, but for 3 mana, you build around this and get a big scam early. It's quite possible. That could be really good. It's just in a deck that doesn't exist right now, and you're hard building around one card. You can tutor this for sure with like Creation Protocol, so it's pretty reliable to hit. It's just, what are you doing with that board after it's cleared in Priest? Not really sure. I don't think it's that bad. I'm gonna give it a B. That much board fill that early can be insane, and yeah, if you can't answer it, you just lose. So we'll see, but you really need to get those holy spells. But again, you can end it off with a non-holy spell, and then you just end the spell burst, and you know, you're kind of expecting it to die the next turn anyways. You only need like, I'd say like 2 holy spells and 1 regular spell. Getting 3/3 drops is probably really quite good. We have Ascara, the new Draenei legendary for Priest as well. 5 mana 4/5. Battle Cry, the next Draenei you play summons a copy of itself, and that could be a Velen, that could be that new taunt they made, although I think you want to stick with something pretty crazy. But that's a ton of value, possibly a ton of stats for free, right? You just play that minion, you get it again, and it's a copy, so if it's been like hand buffed or manipulated anyway, that's really good. And with all the Draenei stuff going on this expansion, I do expect Priest to really be able to utilize this, take advantage of it. I think it's quite strong. I'm giving it an A. It's something I feel like you can't quite ignore. And also, Velen will recast this Battle Cry, so you can get even more value off of that. We have, sorry, we have Tolgath, an amazing card. The art's good. I'll give the art, it's really good. 4 mana, 4/4 demon for Rogue. Undamaged enemy minions take double damage. Combo, get a backstab. This is like, I think this card would have been bad like 8 years ago. I will be shocked if this ends up being good. We have like Moarg, which was only spells and double-sided, but again, just Tarslick is 1 mana. It's double-sided, but it's 1 mana. You get to take advantage almost exclusively on it. Although this, I guess, while it's on the board and your opponent's playing, will still be, it's just bad. I'm not going to justify it. This seems like one of the worst legendaries in a very long time with really cool artwork, I gotta say. But I feel like this card probably should be like 2 mana or 3 mana, and that would still be mediocre, but at least it would make a bit more sense in today's game, right? In today's game, we have the Gravitational Displacer, 5 mana, 4/3 legendary starship piece, the only legendary starship piece for Rogue, and basically when this dies, it'll go dormant into a pod. You can launch that starship for 5 mana, and when that happens, it will, when this is launched, you summon a copy of your starship. So whatever starship pieces have come together in Rogue, it's literally, you can only get starship pieces from another class. So it's just random nonsense, but it could be really crazy and powerful. I think it's really cool. I love the design. It's a 5 mana 4/3 though. Like, oh my God, can you survive playing a 5 mana 4/3 that is absolutely nothing, no tribe, no effect? I rated this, I think, a 4 just because I love the flavor. I feel like it's probably going to be really bad. I'm going to stick to it's playable. I'll give it a B because I want it to be playable because Rogue starships look really fun, just very slow, and yeah, you might just probably blow up. We have the Far Seer Nobundu for Shaman, 5 mana, 6/4, Draenei, Death Rattle, open the Galaxy's Lens. It absorbs the power of the next spell you cast. It's basically this big 5 mana, 2 durability location with spell burst, and when you play a spell, it'll just remember it. So if you played a big spell, you can immediately recast it, and then in 2 turns recast it again. Really slow, but really cool card. I don't think it plays out very well. I feel like it's going to be too slow and vulnerable to like stealing it or silences and all that type of stuff. Then you really need to have a big spell in hand to take advantage of that. So there's some greed and like optimistic drawing that's got to line up with everything. I'll give it a high C. It could, I wouldn't surprise me if it ends up seeing play. I could see it, but right now I'm thinking it might be a bit too awkward, but I'm hopeful because I think the card is really, really cool. Next we, oh God, Murmur, the 6 mana, 6/6 elemental. For Shaman, your battle cry minions cost 1, but immediately die after being played. I understand like the 100 mana minion card, if this goes, it'll make it 0 basically. You play that, Murmur will die, and your big minion won't die because the effect doesn't count, right? Same with Deathwing. It'll actually not kill the minion that's played. Other than that, unless like you're shutter walking and going wide and then it's added back to your hand with Grumble and Wild, that will also not die. This is gonna break the game somewhere in Standard, Wild, I don't know. I really hate the design of this. It's just meant to be a giant scam card. I'm sick of giant scams in Hearthstone. It's designed to be that way. I'm giving it a high A. I probably should give it an S, but I feel like maybe it won't happen immediately, but I just don't like the design of the card. I just think it's toxic. I really feel that way. Speaking of toxic design, we have Kara, the Dark Star, 3 mana, 3/3. Warlock minion with spell burst, you steal 2 health from a random enemy. That can be the hero too. Shadow spells don't remove this spell burst. So you can basically suck the life out of your opponent. You like reverb, you can double up on that with a bunch of shadow spells. Getting random demons, I think, is the best way to do it, to repeat it. It's just, I don't think it's enough to be a big meta player, right? I feel like this has to be killing your opponent or doing something crazy, whereas I feel like it might not really do that. I'm not entirely sure how this one's going to play out. I don't want it to be good because I feel like that style of game is just not fun, but we'll see. I'll give it a low B. I'm not entirely sold on it, but I'm also feeling like, you know, it's a really annoying minion to remove that keeps stealing health and killing things. That could also just be good on its own. We have Archimonde or Archimond, the 7 mana 7/7 Warlock Demon. Battle Cry, summon every demon you play this game that didn't start in your deck. All the demon generation stuff I have seen so far for Warlock, not really sold on it. Kill Jaden, this is a card Kill Jaden can create, and then you summon a bunch of crazy demons. That could happen. Maybe you do play it in a Kill Jaden deck. Maybe that's worth it. I just didn't see enough from the reveals to be like, okay, I really want to play this card, so I'm gonna give it a C, but we'll see. It's something that could absolutely be meta viable at some point with the right demon generation. We have the Exarch Akama for Warrior, 5 mana 3/6 Draenei. After this attacks, all other friendly minions can attack again, except Exarch Akama. There's a lot of ways to make this attack. There's a Draenei that could force this to attack a random enemy, so then all of your stuff on the board can go again. You can give it Rush with, like, there's a neutral Draenei. There's also the 0 mana Fell spell that can play. lots of ways to activate this, and effectively giving your minions Wind Fury can be very, very powerful. And I wouldn't sleep on this entirely. And it's a 3/6 that can be buffed by other Janais and do a lot of good stuff. I think this might see play in, I think a tempo Janai deck for Warrior is going to plan out. I really do. I'm giving it a low A. I know a lot of people are not sold on it. Some people think it's not that great, or Janai Warrior's not going to be that great. I just feel like they have so much synergies with attack buffing and possible face damage going on that it realistically could work out. And Velen is just such a crazy payoff for so many of these Janai decks that I think the Warrior thing could work. This card, probably not as much. Spore Empress Muldara, 6 mana, 6/7 minion. Start of the game, you shuffle 7 replicating spores into your deck. They're this 5 mana spell where you have to spend the mana. It's not cast when drawn. You have to spend the mana, summon a random 5-cost minion. Your future replicating spores summon as well. So basically, start of the game, you're shuffling in 7 cards into your deck that won't feel great to draw, and then 8 on top of that with Muldara, which doesn't do anything when you play. It's just an ogre, although great stats for the cost. And the spores themselves don't feel very good until, I'd say, probably the second and third one. But it's very slow, and if you get a bad 5-drop and repeating, it's going to feel bad. But I don't think it's like the worst legendary ever out there, as I heard a certain someone clickbait with. How dare they? But I don't think it's amazing. I do feel like, yeah, you're making your deck full of bad draws, but Sharp-Eyed Seeker can help get that stuff out a lot quicker, and then you're off and running. I don't think it's going to be a meta card, but I don't think it's the worst of the world. I'm giving it a low C. I think it's got a shot kind of as a meta fringe meme card, but I don't think it's irredeemable like the F cards I have talked about. Next, we have Nexus Prince Jafar, which is already in the game, was the early access legendary. 3 mana, 3/3 spell burst, give a minion in your hand, +3/+3, and that spell burst, shockingly, the one that requires spell burst and repeating is being broken by a deck that runs Shadow Step. It's standard right now in Rogue, where you can like infinitely like buff your Buccaneers and stuff. It's really toxic. You know, it's a Rogue deck. It's frustrating. People aren't loving it, but the deck is good. It's actually pretty good. Not top tier, but it's good. But it's just Rogue. It's a B. It's seeing play, but it's nothing like too crazy outside of that really annoying interaction. Kill Jaden, 7 mana, 7/7 neutral demon. Battle Cry, replace your deck with an endless portal of demons. Each turn they gain additional +2/+2. When you get this portal, there's no way of removing it. There's nothing your opponent can do, although I believe Togwoggle and Wild will flip it. You can steal their deck that way. You will get that portal, but you can't then destroy it yourself unless they flip it back or the Azalina combo. Regardless, it's irremovable. And then the minions in that portal will constantly get +2/+2 each turn. Not the ones in your hand or on the board, only the portal. So you can never fatigue. You can't be like fatigue drawn, stuff like that, like where you draw plagues. It's demons. And there's going to be inevitability with that, right? Infinitely growing demons. I just don't know. A 7 mana, 7/7 do nothing into demons that are going to be whatever, but eventually those stats will overwhelm your opponent. I see this as a very good ETC card for those slower decks that just want to win the late game, and maybe some slow, grindy control decks or a Warlock deck. It sees play. I do think it sees play. I don't know if it's an A or a B, but I'll go on the very high B side. I think it sees meta play. I just don't know how much. But as that greed option, like Archivist Elysiana was such a garbage card that became meta because you had to run it because other people ran that greed, or you're going to lose the slow matchups. I feel like this card will basically lead to that. That's the type of effect I think it will have. Velen, Leader of the Exiled, 7 mana, 7/7 Draenei, not a priest card. It's got Taunt, Death Rattle. This triggers the battle cries and death rattles of all other Draenei you play this game, not summoned, but played. So even if you like summoned a death rattle, resurrected a death rattle, it shouldn't count. It should be only on played. But regardless, this is an incredible payoff for a lot of different decks that are going to be running Draenei's. You get a ton of value, maybe damage, board presence, you name it, it's going to do it. This is an S, one of the best legendaries of the set. I think it'll be very meta defining and in multiple decks throughout this Hearthstone expansion and going forward. We have the Exodar, 8 mana, 6/10 neutral legendary with a battle cry. If you're building a starship, launch it and choose a protocol. So you get to either do the emergency repairs, which gain armor equal to the starship's health twice. So if you're dying, just do that. You launch that starship. You don't have to spend 5 mana to do it. This will do it for you. and you gain a ton of health, and then you can do whatever that starship is going to do anyways. The offensive formation, deal damage equal to the starship's attack randomly split between all enemies. So this could be like Astalor on steroids, just doing 1 billion damage, and you also get that starship on the board. So again, obviously all these launch it, they'll be really good. And crew transport, get copies of all the starship pieces, set their cost to 1, so you get to build that starship again. Or if you're playing Rogue and you got Sonya, you can build it again and again for 0 mana, which is really, really crazy. Very slow, but very crazy. Exodar will be run in every single starship deck. I don't see why you wouldn't. It basically is 3 mana to launch, like it's a 3 mana extra tax to launch your starship. Plus you get a 6/10, plus you get an incredible effect. I will give it a high A because I don't know if it'll be, no, I'll give it an S. I feel like starship decks are going to work either now or they'll buff them to the point where they're going to be good and really meta defining. And then, yeah, it's going to be a part of that equation. And then lastly, we have the Ceaseless Expanse, the 100 mana, first ever 100 mana minion. It's a 15/15. It costs 1 less for each time a card was drawn, played, or destroyed. And that includes like your hero power tokens. Any minion created by a spell counts as a card. Like they're all tokens, they're all cards. Battle Cry, destroy all other minions. So again, like we said with that Murmur card, you play this for 0 with that, it'll destroy all the other minions and you'll get the 15/15. Rogue can Shadow Step this once it gets down to 0, constantly replaying it, breakdancing. That's pretty scary. From what I can tell, I think it'll reliably go off on decks really built around this by like turns 7, 8, 9, I think, which can be really crazy. And if it's down to 0, you can just like lock your opponent out, constantly clearing the board, or you just play it in more of a slower control deck with a lot of tokens and clearing stuff. You're eventually going to clear the board. It gets an S for me. I think it'll be fast enough that this sees a lot of play and abusable enough that we might get like the first ever 50 mana nerf or something in Hearthstone if it's good. That would be outright hilarious. So there you go. Let me know what I'm overrating, underrating, all that stuff. Share your thoughts in the comments down below. I rated a lot S, probably more than I've ever, but I really do think there are a ton of really good legendaries this expansion. Enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.